and we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. I do have a flag here, smaller than usual, but if you want to stand or you want to sit where you are, you can do that. Let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, so and it makes it a little more difficult. Some of us have to be unmuted to speak, but yeah, the rest can be wherever. Next order of business on here is the roll call. So let me go ahead and do that. I have the sheet right in front of me here. Ron Antel, I don't see him. Hopefully he's still coming on here. Bob Barco.
Here.
Janet Miller. I don't see her, so hopefully she's still calling in here. And Heather Davis.
Here.
Ron Fenn.
Present.
Ron Polyak.
Here.
Okay. So we have that. We have 2 members at this point who have not signed in that. So next order of business is the approval of tonight's agenda as it is presented to council. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Pittsburgh, that we would go ahead if we wanted to modify the agenda, we would do it here.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I would make a suggestion that we amend the agenda for tonight to move all pieces of legislation to the end of the agenda after committee reports and even after new business and old business. I would suggest that motion.
Time for those who might be having problems getting on. Or...
Correct. That gives us time to allow Ms. Miller or Mr. Antel to join.
Right. So, all right. So we would need a motion then to agree to that amendment to the agenda.
Mr. Polyak, did you make that motion?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Fenn.
Oh, Mr. Fenn did.
Mr.
I'll
Fenn
make it a second.
and Mr. Polyak makes the second. All right, so I'll take the, go ahead and take the vote here. Mr. Antel is not on. Mr. Barco.
Yeah.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Ben.
Yes.
And Mr. Polyak.
Yes.
I know I usually read whoever did the motion in the second, but all right, so the next order of business we would go into would be open forum.
We need to adopt the agenda now as amended.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
You can do it on a voice vote.
Oh, okay. So we have an agenda that we have adopted the changes to. Are we willing to approve that? We need a motion to do so.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Bob.
I'll second.
Don seconding. Okay, so do we want to do, it's just as easy to do it as a...
Raise your hand, I guess.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented to you? Show of hands.
Yeah, there we are.
Everyone.
I see everyone on that, so we're good. All right, the agenda is ready for tonight's meeting. All right, so now we could go into open forum. And have you received any word from anyone who would like to speak?
Let me check, and I'd like to remind members of the public that there is a Q&A button that you can feel free to press. And the protocol right now is, if you would like to be recognized in the open forum and have your 2 minutes, you can go ahead and press the Q&A put your name and home address in there, and then I will bring that to the mayor to be recognized. Mr. Mayor, there's no one is presently asking to participate in the meeting.
Okay. Well then, I will go ahead and move on. We'll take the next item on the agenda, the minutes, in case someone's figuring out how that goes. And we'll do the minutes, and then if we have no one else, then we'll go on probably to the mayor's report and committee reports and all that. And then we'll go back to the agenda of the legislation. So next order of business are the minutes. Do we want to, we could approve them together. We have minutes from both May 12th and May 19th, 2020. We have a motion to approve both of those at tonight's meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve both.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Fenn. All right, we do have a motion to approve the minutes of May 12th, 2020 council meeting and May 19th, 2020 council meeting. And we have Mrs. Klingenberg, who normally does this, but she enjoys it so much since I'm here looking at this and I have a list to write on. I'll just go ahead and do the roll. So, Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Fenn? Mr. Fenn?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Polya?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Barco?
Yes.
Okay, that is carried. The minutes are approved. Does anyone else want to speak in the open forum that we are aware of, Mr. Polya?
There's still no requests from the public to be recognized in open forum.
Okay, so I'm wondering what the issue is here, but as I said, we will move on with the agenda. The next thing we have is we're going to pass over the ordinances and the resolutions. Next item is the mayor's report. So we have our fire chief for many years passed away here just recently, and we had over 50 years of service to the village of Boston Heights on the fire department. So I have a proclamation that I'd like to read to honor him, and we'll pass this on to his family. All of you out there, you can see there's the proclamation, and I believe we sent it out to all the participants. And I think a copy was sent to the family, and they will be getting this original. So in the proclamation, it starts out, whereas Richard M. Donnelly, Dick, served his country, the state of Ohio, Summit County, Boston Heights, and his family with honesty and dignity for his entire life. And whereas Richard M. Donnelly worked diligently to serve the community by serving on the Boston Heights Volunteer Fire Department for over 50 years, and whereas Richard joined the department in 1948, earned the rank of lieutenant in 1956, moved up to the assistant chief in 1965, and served until he became chief in 1971 through 1998, when he retired. And whereas Dick volunteered in activities that were planned by the Summit County Firefighters Association and statewide activities with the Ohio State Firefighters Association. And whereas we honor Dick for dedicating his life to serving the residents of the village of Boston Heights. He is truly an inspiration to all of us. Therefore, on behalf of the citizens of the village of Boston Heights, village council, and the mayor, we take this opportunity to honor the memory of Richard M. Donnelly for a life well lived. That we will share this with his family and give this to them to keep in the archives for them. So, and he is buried here in Fairview Cemetery. And I'm sure I know Memorial Day has passed, but there'll be another day that you may be in the cemetery and you want to observe. I want to announce that the new mowing tractor arrived yesterday and was tried out by the road superintendent, and it worked fairly well. It's a nice addition and enable us to mow the sides of the roadways for the residents and also the islands for State Route 8. So that's in service. Another thing I wanted to say is with all the information that the State House has been releasing, on July 31st, that there probably will be an announcement about the 10 members in a group, and there may be changes to like our meetings. So we may be able to next month, if the announcement is made, we may be able to return to the meetings in our village hall. And someone suggested that maybe the audience, if we had more than 10 members and they didn't increase that number, that we could meet as a council and have that open to the residents to phone in on Zoom. But that's something we'd have to look into the legality of. So I'm not going to say who brought that up, who we're talking with here, but we will look into that and see if that's a possibility. But I think with the way everything is slowly opening up cautiously, that I'm thinking next month we may have the opportunity to return to meetings in the village hall. All right. Also want to announce that Lori Salaz and Chris Burnham will be here at the next. I just received a text from Janet Miller. Hi, having problems with internet connection. So I don't know what I should answer her on. That's evidently why she's not here, and I haven't received anything from
No, I worked with Janet this afternoon, so.
All right. So what I was going to say is the next meeting, which is the 23rd, it's our council meeting followed by our finance meeting. The Akron Summit County Energy Special Improvement District Residential Program will be explained by the development finance people, Lori Salaz and Chris Burnham, and they'll be online to discuss that. So that legislation on that will be on the agenda on the 23rd during the finance meeting. So we could put that on the finance meeting for a future council meeting in July. All right, at this point, we will go to the fiscal officer report.
No, I really don't. We've been working hard, trying to keep, I've been spending a lot of time working, trying to keep our expenses down, but I don't really have anything really exciting to report.
Okay. All right, so then we can go on, the safety committee and Valley Fire. Do we have anything there?
I
No,
did.
I wasn't at the last fire meeting, so.
Okay. Let's see, I'm trying to think if that's the one I attended virtually or not.
Yeah, I think you did.
I think I did. Yeah, there wasn't any major thing. They do have a couple new employees, I believe they were considering and that, but so far they've had no problems with responses, and they have a proper, adequate staffing. I think of, well, we all know that there's a new fire truck order. I'm not sure exactly when that shows up. So I don't know how we're going to get Janet tied in. So we will continue to go on to the roads committee, cemetery trustee.
Nothing really. We've got the construction going on, and that'll be covered in Brian's report. Other than that, the cemetery, it looked very good for Dick down the funeral. The boys did a very good job.
Yeah, I will pass that on to them.
Janet, you can also use the Zoom app on your phone.
Let's see. Oh, I did. Yeah, I guess I would mention under lands and buildings, if you have nothing else for cemetery.
Nope, I'm done.
Okay. We do have a drip in the police department that I've had a roofer come and take a look at that. And they're going to send me a quote on
You
it.
sign on
More of a minor situation. The roof itself looks in good shape, but there's a spot where water's getting in. There's, the flat roof. It's in one place and travels to where it finds a leak, a loose spot.
As a member of the public,
so that's all really on the lands and buildings
Don should be able to elevate you to
report that I would have to offer.
participate.
The road department is down, has everything back at the park functional, and once we can open things up, and some things have been opened up, I will be ready to go and used by the public. The economic community development, I don't have anything. I don't know if Mrs. Miller has something there to report. She could call in on the phone if she's listening, but she can call me or call one of you and give us information, but I'm not sure how to get to her. Next we'll go to the Planning Commission PZA report.
Planning Commission, Planning Commission met on June 3rd. BZA did not meet and did not have anything on the agenda. Planning Commission met, approved some minutes from some previous meetings, and then reviewed a site plan for Spirit Auto Group down at the old John Deere on Road 8 on the south end of town. Approved the site plan pending fire chief and some site cleanup to the satisfaction of the zoning inspector. And then there was a correction in the conditional use for the type of automobiles that they would be able to have on the, and that was approved and corrected to just reflect basically trucks that you would normally see on the road to cars. I mean, it's just open to the used vehicles that they're trying to be able to present. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. as I said, Mr. Codria has done the actual finding on that approval, and we're sending that to the applicant. All right, do we have any old business? Oh, I'm sorry. Let's look over the engineer report, the most important thing on here, probably. Brian, do you have anything for us?
Just a couple things. Megan's Lane, we're going to look to have the bid opening on July 7th. I just sent a message over to our engineering staff, so we'll get that scheduled. So get advertised in late June to get that advertised. That project. Boston Mills phases 3 and 4 has been moving along. Speaking with Robbie, so everything's been going smooth with that, with shelling and sand, so no delays, and they're still looking to finish up everything. I think mid to late June with the project. So they said they're going really well. So really hasn't been any issues out there, and no resin complaints that I've received at all either, or Robbie's received. I think that's going well. And like I said, normally at this time I'd be applying for OPWC, but funding has been delayed to apply at this moment. I'm hoping that maybe at the end of the year we'll be able to apply, but as of right now, they've delayed any funding applications for this year to apply for OPWC.
Okay.
So, anyone else have any questions or concerns? All right, that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Like I said, now we could go on if there's any old business that we might want to discuss. Okay, seeing none, I would say new business, and I've kind of saved this one item and not done it in my mayor's report because it sort of pertains to the one resolution we're going to be voting on, and I will explain a little more in detail on that, but I do have a quote from LED Lighting for a flashing 24 by 30 inch do not block intersection sign for down at 303 and Old 8. And Brian's aware of the fact that we've been working on this traffic light, and the state keeps putting hurdles up, and they want additional studies and all that, and we do have approval to put up a flashing sign that says, you have a sign there now, same size, that is not flashing. So we can use some of that money that comes from the NOPEC Energy Community Grant to pay for that sign. So I just wanted to mention that. That's one of the things we'll be doing with it, and we'll be looking at some other ways we could use that NOPEC money. All right. That said, anyone else have new business? No? Okay, executive session. I have no news that we need to hold one. So at this point, we will return back to the agenda under ordinances. We have ordinance 2020-6-18, an ordinance creating the Boston Heights Coronavirus Relief Fund, authorizing and directing the mayor and fiscal officer to take all the necessary actions to comply with the requirements of the CARES Act and Senate Bill 310, and expending funds and seeking reimbursement and declaring an emergency.
Mayor?
Yes.
After talking with Marshall this afternoon, that's taken off for the time being, off the agenda for the time being.
Okay, so we're going to make this a first reading.
Oh, is that okay? Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so let's make that a first reading, and we'll bring that back in 2 weeks.
Okay.
As an ordinance, because by then both the House and the Senate will have their verbiage worked out, and we'll be able to move ahead on that. But it's important that we have that legislation in place when that is done, so that we can be, getting some money to use for the impact of the coronavirus. All right, that's all the ordinances on the agenda. We now have resolutions. Resolution 2020-6-23 is a resolution authorizing all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, NOPEC, Energize Committee grants, and declaring an emergency. All right, seeing as we can't get Janet in, and I'm not sure where Mr. Antal is, we have 4 members. So we do not have enough people to suspend 3 reading rule at this point. So at this point, this would be a first reading on resolution 2020-6-23. And it will go automatically as a second reading on the June 23rd council meeting. Next, we will move on to resolution 2020-6-24. It is a resolution submitting to the electorate the question of a renewal tax levy exceeding the 10 mil limitation for the purposes of providing for the payment of permanent, part-time, or volunteer firefighters or firefighting companies, including the payment of the firefighter employer's contribution required under section 742.34 of the Ohio Revised Code, or the provision of ambulance, paramedic, or other emergency medical services operated by a fire department or a firefighting company under ORC 5705.19I and declaring an emergency. So here too, not having this would become a first reading. And hopefully Mrs. Klingberg, if we pass this, if we can get this passed on the 23rd, we're in good shape. We're getting this on the, I think we started plenty early. All right. The next resolution that we have, resolution 2020-6-25, a resolution authorizing the mayor and the chief of police of the village of Boston Heights, Summit County, Ohio, to enter into a membership and participation agreement with Metro SWAT and declaring an emergency. This too will become a first reading. Just as a little explanation to you, if you recall, our former chief, Ray Heatwall, was on Summit County SWAT. But Metro SWAT is the group we could join. We do have an officer who is interested in becoming a member of that SWAT team, and would, if we would need to have the SWAT team in our village, it would be a good thing to have someone on that, because that they would automatically then come when called. So that too, resolution 2020-6-25 will go to first reading and be brought back up on the 23rd of June. Next resolution, 2020-6-26, resolution approving the Tax Incentive Review Council recommendation to continue the tax abatement for Premier Our House LLC and Our House LLC and declaring an emergency. That too will be a first reading and will be brought back up on June 23rd.
Mr. Mayor, could I ask just at the next meeting that someone from the Tax Incentive Review Council just be able to speak on that?
Sure.
Yeah, we have a nice report that actually I can put together so you'll have it in writing. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. That's that one. When that committee met, we also had generate a resolution 2020-6-27.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes,
Mr. Poliak, are you able to allow attendees to participate? I believe Janet Miller is one of the participants via phone. The 216 phone number.
Okay. I will. Janet, can you hear us? And can you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you.
okay. Have you been listening to the meeting, Janet?
Just briefly.
Just briefly. Okay, so if you didn't hear the whole thing, what we did, because you were not on and Mr. Ansel was not on, we went ahead and approved the agenda in a reverse format so that all of the committee reports and other reports were done first, and then we came back to the legislation last. At this point, we have covered the one ordinance. We covered four of the resolution on tonight's agenda, and that's we just agreed to make the Tax Incentive Review Council's recommendations for approving the Our House, Premier Our House and Our House LLC abatements. And we were going to put that down to first reading.
If you want to go back to the ordinance and some other ones, I believe we can with Ms. Miller's participation, so we can like at least get the fire levy one out.
Okay.
And however we can do that.
Okay. Are you agreeable to that, Mrs. Miller?
Am I what?
I said, are you agreeable with that?
We were going to go back and hear the legislation so you could vote on it and we could go ahead and proceed with it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's see, the ordinance, we said that had to be a first reading, but the resolutions, we could go to the first one. I don't know, Mrs. Klingenberger, were you any rush with the NOPEC?
Not really, but we have the information. We can pass it at any point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we do have $2,200 this year to spend. We'll be reimbursed for, so.
Well, let's get it on the floor then. So we're going to sort of go back in the agenda, go to the first resolution presented in the meeting, Resolution 2020-6-23. I will read it, Janet. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay, it is a resolution authorizing all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, which is NOPEC, Energize Community Grants, and declaring an emergency. In order to consider this, we need a motion to suspend the three reading rule. We will make that motion.
I'll take the motion to suspend it.
To suspend the rule.
Right.
You making the motion,
I'll
Bob?
suspend.
I'll make the motion.
All right, who's the second?
I'll
Janet?
second.
I'll suspend.
Okay, I'm not sure. Janet said something there first, so
Bob moved and Janet seconded.
Janet seconded. All right, so we'll take the roll call then. Mr. Barco,
Yeah.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Fenn,
Yes.
and Mr. Poliak.
Yes.
Okay, the motion to suspend has passed. We will now ask for a motion to adopt Resolution 2020-6-23. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt it.
Thank you, Mr. Barco. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mrs. Miller. All right, now, Mrs.
Me.
Klingenberg.
I was
Ms.
seconding.
Davis.
It was
Oh, I'm
Heather
sorry.
Davis.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Discussion on it. Mrs. Klingenberg, would you explain a little bit of how much money is involved here? And
We suspended purchasing anything last year, so that increased this year's to $2,200. And the mayor has already gotten a cost for one item. And do you want to explain what that is? And the rest of it will come along.
right, and as I was explaining to you a little earlier, I don't know if all of you can see this. I know Janet can't, but Janet, I'm showing you a picture of a high reflective sign that has 8 flashing white lights around it, kind of like our stop signs are in red, only this is in white, and it says "Do not block intersection." We would put this eastbound on 303 at the end of the bridge over the bike and hike trail, right before Old 8 Road intersects, to help stop that traffic, to allow people on Old 8 to get out, because ODOT has not allowed us to move forward without doing a lot of studies on traffic lights. And so we're thinking, we have the approval from ODOT to put this sign up. We halted because they said, why don't you put a traffic light up? But then turned around and put all these roadblocks in the way. So one of the things I went ahead and got prices from a couple of companies. This one is from LED Lighting Solutions, same one we got the stop signs from, and it is around, with the shipping and everything, is around $1,668. I would propose that we use the grant on that, and we will find other things we can use that for. All right? Does anyone have any questions? No questions? All right, well then we have a motion on the floor, made by Mr. Barco, seconded by Mrs. Davis. Roll call, Mr. Barco?
Yes?
Okay, Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Fenn?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
And Mr. Polya?
Yes.
Okay, so motion passes, becomes resolution 2020-6-23. All right, the next resolution is resolution 2020-6-24. Is a resolution submitting to the electorate the question of a renewal tax levy exceeding the 10 mil limitation for the purposes of providing for the payment of permanent, part-time, or volunteer firefighters or firefighting companies, including the payment of the firefighters' employees' contribution required under section 742.34 of the Ohio Revised Code, or the provision of ambulance, paramedic, or other emergency medical services operated by a fire department or firefighting company. ORC 5705.19I, and declaring an emergency. In order to consider this, we would need a motion to suspend the 3 reading rules. We will make that motion.
I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Fenn. Who's the second?
I'll second.
Okay, Heather Davis. All right. So I'll take the roll call then. Mr. Fenn,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Polya.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Barco
Yeah.
and Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, that motion carries. We'll now ask for a motion to adopt resolution 2020-6-24.
I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Fenn. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Barco. Okay, this says I don't know who knows more about it than I might, but this again is a renewal levy. We've had it ongoing for several terms, so it's not an additional tax, and it is part of the way we pay for the Valley contract. Are there any questions on that? Seeing none, I have a motion by Mr. Fenn and a second by Mr. Barco. Mr. Fenn.
Yes.
Mr. Barco.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
And Mr. Poirier.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes, becomes resolution 2020-6-24. All right, the next resolution, resolution 2020-6-25, is a resolution authorizing the mayor and the chief of police of the village of Boston Heights, Summit County, Ohio, to enter into a membership and participation agreement with Metro Squad and declaring an emergency. I would need a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule to consider this.
I'll make a motion to suspend it.
Thank you, Mr. Barco. Do we have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
I think Heather was first.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Okay. All right. So we have a motion and a second. I'll do the roll call. Mr. Barco.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Fenn.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
And Mr. Poirier.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. That motion carried. I would now ask for a motion to adopt resolution 2020-6-25.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Barco. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Janet. All right. As I explained a little before, and I'm not sure Janet was on, but when Chief Heatwall was here, he was on Summit County Sheriff's Department SWAT. That opportunity is available because you have to be a sheriff's deputy or something like that to be on that. However, Metro SWAT is the other big SWAT team in the Summit County area, metropolitan area of Summit County, and that's how the name came about. So we've been asked if we would like to name someone for that. We do have a participant, Richard Hildreth, who has shown some interest in being on the SWAT team. And so the chief has recommended that we go ahead and apply and get the paperwork there, and then we can proceed with Officer Hildreth. So, are there any questions?
You refer to a synopsis that was attached to your legislation. We'll explain about it as well.
Okay. And hopefully if you have questions, they're there. Answers are there for you. Seeing no other questions, however, we have a motion to adopt made by Mr. Barco, seconded by Mrs. Miller. Mr. Barco.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
You. Mr. Poirier.
Yes.
Mr. Fenn.
Yes.
And Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes, becomes resolution 2020-6-25. Right, the next 2 resolutions are sort of related to our CRA agreement. Resolution 2020-6-26 is a resolution approving the Tax Incentive Review Council's recommendation to continue the tax abatement for Premier Our House LLC and Our House LLC and declaring an emergency. I'm first asking for a motion to suspend three reading rule.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
can I recommend that we keep that as a first reading so that on the next meeting we can have the full written report available to us while we give it consideration?
sure.
And I also think that Mr. Hinkle may have the minutes done by then. Just have the meeting on.
And we could share, yeah.
That'd be
We could
great.
share with everyone. All
Thank
right. Sure. All right, so we're making resolution 2020-6-26 a first reading. And then I will read in its entirety 2020-6-27. And then if you wish to make that also a first reading, we can. Resolution 2020-6-27 is a resolution approving the Tax Incentive Council's recommendation to continue the tax abatement for Hemingway at Boston Heights, LLC, and Paychex North America Incorporated, and declaring an emergency. And we want to make that one a first reading also.
I would appreciate that. I would really be very curious as to that report.
Okay. All right. Well, that said, look at our agenda. We've covered all the other items on here. And at this point, I would say that I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
We have one more agenda item.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's another resolution, and Marshall can explain it. It's kind of like at the last minute type thing, and then you can take over. And since you don't have it there, I'll read it, okay? It's that resolution creating a Boston Heights Coronavirus Relief Fund, authorizing and directing the mayor and the fiscal officer to take all necessary actions to comply with the requirements of the CARES Act and Senate Bill 310 in expending funds and seeking reimbursement and declaring an emergency. So Marshall does have some explanation to that, and then Bill can carry on.
We did create that as a first reading for the ordinance.
Yes, that's an ordinance. Is this something different, Marshall?
No, he's right. I'm wrong. I crossed off the wrong thing.
Okay. All right, so we do have that. We did that as a first
we may have
reading.
another COVID-19 piece of legislation for the next meeting as well.
We'll go with that.
So we've got two of those, and the question relates to whether or not we're going to extend the emergency declaration in our meetings and meeting virtually, at least allowing ourselves to do all of that, because our declaration is coming to the end of its time period. Has not expired yet, but it's coming to the end of it, so we'll want to be addressing that at the next meeting.
Marshall, will we be good at the next meeting?
Yes, that's our, Betty and I discussed it, and that's our intention.
It's become rather confusing. Marshall's keeping track of it much better, and it is a little confusing though.
Okay. All right, so we do not have a need to put anything additionally onto the agenda. We would have had to amend that in the beginning anyway, and we already had ordinance 2020-16 or -6-18 on. So that's a first reading. We're good to move on. As I said, I'm asking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
I feel awkward being so far away.
Okay, all right, so Janet's making the motion, and Mr. Poliak, Don is making the second. And I will just ask for a show of hands. All those in favor, show me your hand. Okay. I can't see your hand yet. All right, that's good. All right, we're adjourned at.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. Thanks for getting me in.
Thank you, Brian, for helping Janet get on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really crazy internet connection, so thanks, guys.
Okay. All right, so we're adjourned at 7:51 p.m.
Mayor, don't leave until I give you back the host so that you can then get the recording.
Exactly. Okay, that sounds good.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Right. Yes, thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Mayor, your host, so that you can then leave and take the recording.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
Yep.
you.
And don't forget to turn it off.